More of these stories at srnnews.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Therefore, no current or prospective client should assume that the future performance of any specific investment strategy, including the investments and/or investment strategies recommended and/or purchased by advisor, or product made reference to directly or indirectly will be profitable. Different types of investment involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that any specific investment will either be suitable or profitable for a client's investment portfolio. No client or prospective client should assume that any information presented serves as the receipt of or substitute for personalized investment advice from the advisor or any other investment professional.
Welcome to the Bullington Capital Report, hosted by Bill Bullington. For the next hour, you'll receive information on current market conditions and trends that could affect your financial future. If you have a question, you can participate in today's program by calling 216-901-0945. That's 216-901-0WHK. You can also reach Bill by going to his website, bullingtoncapital.com. And now, here's Bill Bullington.
Thanks. Well, welcome back. Man, as always, it's been very interesting watching what's happening out there, and mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. I can't believe the vast majority of presidents really didn't have a lot to do with what was going on in the economy, and I know that was something that was not a public or a popular with the public, that the president really doesn't have a whole lot of control, but they really don't. The Fed and the government spending accounts for about a third of total GDP. That's a lot. I mean, that is a lot. But more importantly, they control the rate of speed or rate of change through the money supply for the rest of the economy. And nobody's been talking about that at all. And that's actually stayed pretty level, pretty constant. It's pretty good, but it's unbelievable the amount of distraction. It just blows my mind. The headlines, and psychologically, it's a lot worse psychologically than it is on paper. But so then I guess that's the good news. The bad news is you better cut that stuff out. You better start learning how to agree and get stuff done. And it's fine debating, but you gotta come together and make decisions, and they can't be all one-sided. But I don't know. I look at it and go, wow, it's unbelievable that GDP has not slowed down more than it has. That is mind-boggling to me. And it's a testament to how strong the underlying economy really is, and what a good job people in the Federal Reserve are doing, because they are working overtime, I promise you. And but a lot of stuff that's still happening, and I just want to remind you that the stuff that you're seeing is it's probably going to affect about 10%, which is a big portion. But especially if they slowed it down to zero, it'd be a huge contraction, the likes of which we haven't seen since 2008. So very, very fascinating to continue to watch the development of this stuff. But and I noticed the Fed presidents have remained pretty quiet, and that's not their job. Their job is to make sure banks are making loans to people who can afford to pay them back, and try to keep the economy running as well as possible. And they're there, and thank goodness. I've always felt like we've been extremely blessed in this country to have people at the Fed that we've had since they really had power. They were formed in the early 1900s, but until the Depression came along, they really didn't have much power. And then they were given a lot more power to help these banks recover, get back on their feet, start new banks. And it's been a miracle from that time forward. We have times where the economy slows down, whether it's politics or something else. Most places are politics, by the way. The In fact, when I was this is going back 30 years now. I don't know if this has changed. I doubt it, but I don't have any clients who teach economics at a college. But they used to tell us that in America, America was the only country around the world that taught economics as a standalone science. It was considered a science too. And I'm not even sure if that's still true. But the other countries taught political economics because there are various differences between, heck, even in America between the Democrats and Republicans. There are tons of differences. When one party's in, that tends to help the causes that are dear to them, and then when the other party's in, it does the same thing there. Ultimately, this has been the project that's worked for an incredibly long time period. Uh, we will get through what we're going through now. I just, like everybody else in the country, I wish it would be quicker and would get back to doing the real things and improving. And man, there's been so much science that have made so many advances that are going to make our lives a lot easier. And it's unreal the level of progress that they've made over the past few years, but you don't hear about it because of all this other noise. And it's mind-boggling to me. And the industries that they're making some of the bigger advances in progress are electrical, and the technology involved around producing the electricity. The obvious one that people are aware of are electric cars. There are several. Actually, I think there are a couple dozen around the world that manufacture electric cars now. That's a thing that's going to stay there. I don't think it's ever going back. There are tons of different versions of it. There are some different versions of electric cars or hybrids that don't really need gasoline, and they can run them off of natural gas, and they run way more efficiently. And they had a natural gas network in California at one point in time. I don't know if it's still there or not, but these things you fill up with natural gas instead of regular gasoline, and the byproduct is water and oxygen. So talk about clean. That's one of the things I've always found interesting about financial markets and just the world in general. You read about a bunch of this stuff. You can read it. Heck, Popular Science will publish an article about a technology that's going to exist 10 years before they can roll it out. And I never quite understood that. Why are you writing about it and giving us the impression that it's right around the corner, and it takes 10 years? And there are lots of reasons for it. It's really difficult to start a game changer because you have resistance from the existing game trying to stop you at every turn because it's the end of their industry, and it's brutal. And that's the way a capitalist society works. And heck, almost everybody goes through it or gets touched by it. I remember when I was growing up, like the greater Cleveland area was struggling because a lot of the steel companies were shutting down and had to lay off people. And we were a major producer for a ton of different types of steel, and still are today. It's just nowhere near the percentage of the total population that was employed in that industry today as there was then. And it was a huge driver, not just for Ohio, but a lot of other states, Pittsburgh and Detroit, what their auto manufacturing, and I think they actually imported a lot of stuff. But it was really interesting to see. I used to go downtown. Um, I would ride with my father. He would go all over the northeastern, northwestern Ohio doing construction work, and you'd see these big barges out on the lake. And I was amazed at how big they were. And my dad told me, "Yep, those are the biggest, some of the biggest ships in the world because the lakes aren't that deep, so the waves don't get nearly as large as they do on other big bodies of water." And I thought, that was pretty interesting. The So anyway, a lot of stuff out there that I think oftentimes the news has us focusing on just the negative and just whatever is being most negative at that particular point in time. And I have news for people. You can't have a society that is going to be successful unless you have an awful lot of stuff that's going on right. It takes an enormous amount of effort and an enormous amount of cooperation to have countries operating the way that the modern countries operate today. And it's always taken a lot. But today, you've got way more businesses involved in the big tech boom and how we're doing things versus the way they were done even 10 or 15 years ago. That's not all that long, unless you're 22. But it's mind-boggling how this stuff continues to grow and evolve, and that's where the growth of the future is going to come from. It's going to continue to grow and evolve, and that's why it's so important to have a well-rounded investment philosophy. It doesn't need to be super complicated. You just need to avoid making the really big mistakes, and those would be trying to time the market. That's a big mistake. Trying to figure out when the best time to be in and when the best times to be out are. I'm just telling you, and you don't have to believe me, and I know most of you won't. Most of you will go well, not most, but a large portion of you will go through a large portion of your lives pulling money out, putting money back in when the headlines are good and the market's up. That's not a good time to be putting the money in the market, assuming that you took it out when it was going down. Because it just changes direction too fast, too often. And unless you're sitting there and can pay extremely close attention, even then, there's not a really good chance of you outperforming the market by a long shot. And you have to kind of resist that, especially when you get closer to retirement. You can't take a big hit in retirement. If you're 100% in stock or more than 80% in stock and you're above the age of 60, if you're not a multi-millionaire, you need to change that, like now. And I think that's probably the hardest part about investing and trying to set up your retirement income plan. There are lots of tools that you can use. The interest rates, have come up way up from where they were even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, they were down near zero. And I never thought you'd see that in the United States. Growing up, I thought, well, we'll never see interest rates go down to near zero. And wrong. But that's one of the great things about being in the business that I'm in. You see a bunch of predictions. You hear a lot of stories, and the vast majority of them never happen, or they don't turn out like the prognosticators thought they were going to. Something always comes along and changes it and makes it a little bit different. And that's why you need to be flexible. When you get closer to retirement age, there's some things you can do like locking in a fixed income stream. And so if you're above the age of 60 and you're thinking about retiring over the next 10 years, you could actually lock in an income today that's going to be substantial. Okay. And even if you were to retire, like say a year from now, it'd be a substantial amount of income, but every year that you put it off, that income is guaranteed to go up, and the guarantee is made by the insurance company to you, and you're the only one that can let them out of that deal. So at least the way the rules are structured today, and that's they're pretty attractive. I mean, they're very attractive. When we come back from a commercial break, I will probably I'll look up the rates here, the current rates, and we'll go through a couple of them for you. But let's see here. Oh, by the way, you can call in today, 216-901-0945. 216-901-0945 if you'd like to ask a question. This is Bill Bullington. I'm going to take a real quick commercial break, and I will be right back.
I let go long ago, thinking I knew everything.
Bob France here. Improve the comfort and value of your home with new windows from Empire Window Company. Call 855-76-EMPIRE or log on to empirewindowcompany.com.
You've heard the saying, all good things come to an end. Well, not always. Sometimes they just take a break. That's what's happening with Our Lady of the Wayside's car donation program after 24 years and 96,000 rides donated. Pretty amazing. Here's the story. The car lot's owners sold the property, making it impossible for car donations to be accepted at this time. According to the Wayside CEO, Terry Davis, the next right steps will be determined and communicated soon, so stay tuned. In the meantime, Terry and the entire team at the Wayside thank you for your continued support of the 450 individuals with developmental disabilities in the Wayside's care. And please take note, you can still support them by making a donation at thewayside.org.
God is not done with America. God has a church that is more hungry and seeking His face than ever before. Come on down and witness a move of God at Strongsville Christian Church Pentecostal for our Holy Ghost and Fire services every Sunday at 11 a.m. and Sunday night at 6 p.m. God is pouring out His Spirit upon all flesh. This is Pastor Joseph Collini, and I am honored to hear ongoing testimonies of healing, signs, and wonders at the hands of Jesus. Strongsville Christian Church is a Pentecostal church that is located at 19132 Temple Drive in the beautiful city of Strongsville. For more information, visit us online at strongsvillechurch.com or visit us on Facebook, Strongsville Christian Church. Don't miss out on your breakthrough and blessings that is waiting for you at Strongsville Christian Church.
No doubt about it, we're spending more time at home, which is the perfect time to make it more functional and beautiful. Hi, Ed Flash Ferentz here for Artistic Renovations, Northeast Ohio's premier and award-winning remodeler. Artistic did a fantastic job with our kitchen in 2016, and last year, they were back for the master bath. Oh my word. Do yourself a favor and go to artisticreno.com. Believe me, you'll love their ideas and without question the finished product. For a virtual consultation, call 216-520-0838 or visit artisticreno.com.
Download the free WHK mobile app and listen to your favorite WHK programs or podcasts on the go. It's free in your app store.
Thinking about updating your home? Well, Joyce Factory Direct specializes in replacing old, outdated windows. Proudly made right here in Cleveland, Joyce Windows features their exclusive Smart Shield high-performance glass, which means you'll be getting the most energy-efficient windows for your home directly from the factory. Customers just love how much warmer their house is and how easy their new windows operate and clean. Right now, you can save 50% on all installations. Just call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing, 440-243-5700, or visit joycefactorydirect.com.
I saw mercy, mercy seated where the judge should be, was guilty.
Well, welcome back. Just reading a little bit during the commercial break there. It's interesting. Just thought I'd give you a little update on the current Social Security state of Social Security administration. The benefits are going to go up 2.5% this year due to the cost of living adjustment. Wonder how they only came up with 2.5%. I think my groceries went up a little bit more than that. But anyway, the maximum amount of earnings subject to Social Security tax this year is going to go up to $176,000. That means you have to pay Social Security tax up to $176,000, and then it phases out. It kicks back in, by the way, when it gets higher, but I'll talk about that next week. The full retirement age is going to be 66 years and 10 months. That's for this upcoming year. Mine is 67, and knock on wood, by the time I get there, it's probably going to be 72. Anyway, the windfall elimination provision, I never thought this was going to happen, and the government pension offset, if you probably know what those are if you're subject to it, that was repealed. And I've been looking into that and reading into it. I just saw this. I know it's been out. It's been in the news for a little while longer, but I really need to brush up on that. So I'll try to do that this week or next week's show. But that's a big deal. If you had worked for, say, a school district that had a good pension plan, or you worked for a government office and had a pension through the government office and were vested, which means you got to keep whatever you had in your account, even if you left, and will get to draw on it when you got full retirement age and started taking Social Security. If you had qualified for Social Security, you could get Social Security and the pension, but they were limited by those two rules, and they couldn't get all of the money that you worked for, that you had acquired in the government pension or the school district, because of these rules, windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset provision. So both of those were repealed just recently. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. If I were giving instructions to, or not, I tried to talk all my kids into being teachers because that's actually what I really wanted to do. I just didn't think that they made enough money, and I didn't realize what their pensions were like until I got into the field that I'm in now. And if somebody had told me that, no sweat, I would have been a teacher. Absolutely. First of all, I like kids anyway. I've got 3, and I've got 10 grandkids. My kids are busy. But I would have easily, probably would have coached. I'm sure I would have coached track, because that was a blast. And I think I was the only one in the state that was 220 pounds and went over 2 feet in the pole vault. And that was back when those fiberglass poles used to break. I broke 3 of them my senior year. And anyway, it was, if they had done this back in those days, that would have been no decision, I think. That was one of the reasons I didn't go, is that teachers started off kind of low, and I didn't know about their pensions. Their pensions were awesome. Now they're even better. And what's really funny is I get a lot of people thinking that are teachers go, I'm not rich as a teacher. Well, let me tell you something. Let me explain something. Let's say you get $60,000 as a pension from teaching for 25 or 30 years. Okay. And by the way, if you came straight out of college, you have to. Today it's different. You have to pick up master's degrees and all that other stuff, a lot of other stuff. But let's say you started right out of college, and or maybe you didn't go into it until you were 30. Okay. 30 years later, you're making $100,000. A lot of teachers today easily pick up $100,000 after 30 years being coaching and doing a lot of other things that check up their income. But so you were going to get somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000, depending on how long you've worked and how much you made and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of dough. I think I was using the $30,000 mark because when my daughter was in college to be a teacher, that was a long time ago, and that was kind of the average rate. And I was telling her she wanted to pull out, and I was saying, hey, look, you're going to get this amount of money roughly by the time if your salary keeps going up and the pension stays unaffected the way it is now, you're going to get 70% of this number at retirement, and here's the number. This is the number of millions of dollars you would have to have accumulated in your retirement plan, earning a 5%, which is pretty normal. To be able to produce the same kind of income that you're going to get from being a teacher. In other words, you're going to have to become a multimillionaire. I think it was somewhere around $2 million at the time. And she was listening, and I didn't think she was listening, but she was listening, and she went into her educational class, and the guy that taught the class was a former head of the Ohio Department of Education, and literally ran the show. And so he was the dean of the College of Education where she was going to school. And he heard the speech, and he liked it so much, he gave her an A and asked her if she wouldn't come and give that speech to all the other educational classes from the beginning, the freshman classes, all the way up to the senior. And of course she did, because that ensured that she got an A in that class. But my youngest daughter and I are probably the most alike in our thinking. She's the so anyway. Long story short, that worked out really well. And I'll tell you, firemen and policemen have good pensions too, and they really earn it. I mean, those guys earn every dime as far as I'm concerned. They're out there putting their lives on the line. But those are really, really, really good jobs. So, and like I said, you would have to accumulate minimally a couple $1,000,000, and that's in today's dollars. It's going to be several million, 30 or 40 years from now. By the time a kid who's 22 is in his 60s, these numbers are all going to go up substantially. And the bottom line is, public service has some really good pension plans. So if you don't want to be in business for yourself, because I can tell you it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's a lot of work, and but if you don't want to be in business for yourself, then your next best shot at becoming a millionaire or being able to live a millionaire's lifestyle when you retire is in public service. So that's my public service announcement for the day. Anyway, let's see. The average retirement benefit will increase $50 a month from $1927 to $1976. So that's the average individual monthly distribution from Social Security. And this is another reason why you want to talk to kids when you got to get to your kids when they're like 12, because when those hormones kick in, you won't be able to talk to them for years. Well, you will be, but they won't listen. But you get to them when they're relatively young and they understand. You can show them the percentages. Just get them a calculator. Kids today have a lot of access to stuff that kids, in my generation and my daughter's generation, quite frankly, didn't have. And I was a nut about getting them. They had computers when they were in kindergarten, and I just wanted to make sure that they really. I try to give them as much of an edge as I could, and it worked pretty well. I mean, they did a lot of stuff that they didn't really struggle with nearly as hard as some of the other kids, and I was just fortunate and lucky to be able to help them out that way. But today, I can use a computer extremely well for what I need to do, but they do so many. I mean, the amount of things that you can do with them, it's mind-boggling. I did not anticipate it going to this level. Actually, I had anticipated that it would be a lot more closer to what Star Trek is, where you just talk to the computers. And we're not there yet, but we'll get there. I have no doubt in my mind that Star Trek was just so far ahead of its time. They did get those like communication devices wrong, though. They look like flip phones. That was not. Uh, that didn't come to fruition, but it can't be perfect, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so Social Security's um, changing quite a bit. I know that somebody's been taking a swipe at it, or most recently. That's a sure way to get yourself unelected or your whole party, because the number of people who are older or already on Social Security that are the biggest percentage of they have the biggest percentage as voters by age of any of the categories, and they'll just turn on you. I mean, and rightly so. You're messing with their retirement. It is not something that you really want to do. I would kind of try to back away from that and stay away from it. And you don't try to cut that. It's something that you can afford. A lot of people think it's too expensive. Like, watch what happens if you when you start messing around with that. That's all I'm going to say. But right now, it's still there. Still have cost of living adjustments, which are important. It's it's something I don't know. We have to just keep our eyes on. I'll tell you what. I'll keep watching, and I think next week maybe we'll come in and do a program just on that the state of the Social Security, because I think that would probably be very interesting for a lot of people out there that are listening. If you have any ideas, feel free to email me, bill@bullingtoncapital.com, and I'll be glad to take a look at that. I have been incredibly busy. I'm trying to upgrade the amount of services that we provide, because we do the investment planning, we do retirement income planning, we manage money for those. We set up your accounts so that the money comes out of your investment accounts each month, goes into whatever checking account that you would like it directed to, and it's basically retirement income planning in general. And if you're not there yet, if you're not retired yet, try to make as much out of what you have as we can. I'm always working on a whole bunch of stuff, and one of the things that has been very difficult is a lot of the technology firms like Morningstar. Morningstar provides a lot of data to a ton of firms, and they have just been rolling over. I don't know what's going on there, but we've had to learn an unbelievable amount of stuff just to keep up with the changes they're making. And now they came out with another major change. So I understand people that are getting older and the industries that they're in are changing, and it's happening to us, and we just have to roll with it. There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to continue this way. I don't know where it's going to end up, but it's unbelievable the number of changes that have been made in and outside of the investment community, the financial services communities, and it just keeps coming. And I was like, wow! And a lot of this stuff I had thought was going to be here like 10 years ago, and it didn't for some reason. And now all of a sudden, the stuff I thought would have been here 10 years ago, it's finally coming in, and everybody's doing it all at once. So it's not that bad. Here's something that I would always keep in mind. When you're looking at your financial plan, it does not have to be complicated. Some of the investments out there today, they're complicated. Most of the funds are not that complicated, and if you look hard enough, You can see exactly what they're doing with the money. And it's basically what we do, is look into what is happening with the money. There are certain mathematical formulas that have a tendency to work better than the other ones that are available. And that's one of the things that I just observed by doing this research over and over and over again, is that there are algorithms, there are mathematical formulas that they're applying to each of the funds that are available. There are thousands of funds, by the way. Most of them are pretty similar, with one or two minor tweaks just to make it different. And there are a lot of identical funds that are being offered by different fund providers. And so there's a lot of stuff there. But the actual formulas themselves, after building model after model after model, some certain things start to be pretty apparent when you're looking at the details that are probably the most important. And so when you're doing your portfolios, the advice you're going to get from somebody who's licensed and gone through a whole bunch of training, whether it's a CFP, whether it's the AIF, and all the other licenses that come along with that, they're going to be doing things a certain way. But I've talked so much, I've only got a few seconds here before I have to take a commercial break. But this is Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon. When we come back, we'll talk about what some of those formulas are and which ones you may want to avoid. So hang on for a couple minutes through these commercial messages, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, I don't always feel it. Yeah, but that's when I need it the most.
We had water seeping up the drain in the basement, and that's always alarming. We had kind of a Band-Aid job done, but we weren't going to go back to them.
She says, why don't we call Wyatt Works? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's those whistling plumbers.
They are men of a higher caliber. Definitely.
Yeah, we had the pipelining. I was very impressed with that technology. I have peace of mind. I have comfort and assurance now that I never have to worry about the drain.
Everything was top-notch, professional, but friendly and personal.
I was grateful that the liner job was not only cheaper than doing a dig out, but I was really grateful that I didn't have to have all of my concrete tore up and then have a concrete job on top of everything.
I think Wallackadoodle means we did it, it's done, you don't have to worry about it. Amen, hallelujah.
Consider it done at WyattWorks.com.
Wallackadoodle.
Do you ever find yourself saying, I need a vacation? Vacation Fixation can help. At Vacation Fixation, we specialize in all-inclusive trips and cruises to Mexico, the Caribbean, and Disney vacations. Why choose us? Our clients book through Vacation Fixation because they are frustrated with online trip brokers and timeshare scams. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a family trip, spring break, or honeymoon, Vacation Fixation will personalize a trip just for you. Want to know the hottest destinations in Cancun, Punta Cana, Jamaica, or Puerto Vallarta? Interested in room upgrades, beach reviews, or details about resort restaurants? How about finding a trip with a direct flight? At Vacation Fixation, we take all of your specific travel requests and shop our suppliers to find the best deal. What's the cost? Our suppliers pay us so you don't have to. Call 330-573-8147 for more details. Or you can visit our website at vacationfixation.com or check out the deal of the day on Facebook. Vacation Fixation.
The Declaration of Independence begins when, in the course of human events, we aim for accurate presentation of all the facts. HumanEvents.com.
Is it finally time to update your bathroom? Bath Planet, a division of Joyce Factory Direct, specializes in replacing and converting old showers and tubs into new, beautiful bathrooms in as little as one day. We have transformed thousands of bathrooms just like yours into a spa-like oasis that has homeowners excited to use their new bathtub or shower. Right now, all bath installations are 50% off. So call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing. 440-243-5700 or visit JoyceFactoryDirect.com.
welcome back. This is Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon. If you'd like to reach me, ask me some questions. Things are changing rapidly all the time. I get it. There's no charge for asking a question. You can call me or call my office, 330-715-0605. That's actually, I take it back, 330-664-0700. I was giving out another wrong number there, sorry. 330-664-0700, and it'll put you through to my voicemail, which goes right to my cell phone. So I will get back to you as quickly as humanly possible. This is one of our busier times of year as people are trying to get their taxes done. And a lot of the custodians haven't released the 1099s yet. And we had a couple of them last year that had to delay the 1099 until way after taxes were due, and mind-boggling. But they were having problems with their IT and upgrading and all that other kind of stuff. So it's not uncommon. We have probably half a dozen custodians that we use, and each year it's just a little bit different. And nothing stays the same. When I was younger, I thought I was being clever by saying the only thing constant is change, and I had no idea how true that was. But that's going back a long time. And so anyway, one of the things that has changed too is you get these fixed index annuities. Everybody looks at the investment side. I'm like, no. The investment side, they're not designed to grow the money a whole lot. It'll grow, but a whole lot. It's designed to give a high guaranteed income. There's a big difference there. And I know when you're driving in your car and you're listening to this on the radio, sometimes that message does not get through. The reason you buy those things, the reason I have mine, is that I don't want to have to worry about paying my basic living expenses when I'm in retirement. So I've got enough money to cover all that. Okay. The rest of it, I've got invested in a balanced account that I'm managing. Okay. And so I'm just going to give you this is just an example, a hypothetical example pulled out of the air, because if you're going to wait until 70 to start pulling from your retirement, by the way, you can use annuities in IRAs too. So let's say you did that, and now you're coming up on age 70, and you'd like to start taking it. You're 69 now, so you at 70, for every 100,000 you put in at age 69, you're going to get to take out $8,256, and that's a guaranteed lifetime income. Okay, that's going to come in if you live to 150. My luck, I'll probably be one of the people that lives that long. Not that I would like that, because I can't imagine what somebody would look like at that age. But anyway, so if you put it off another year, then it goes to $9,007. Yeah, I get to age 71. Yeah, still I don't need to take any money out. Okay, it goes to $9,891. Okay, so you've gone from $82.56 to $98.91 in just in 3 years. That's pretty good. And there's a schedule. It'll go for 10 years. They'll guarantee that they'll raise the amount that you're eligible for 10 years. That's guaranteed. And what happens after that 10th year? I looked at their actuarial tables, and if you put it off past that point, based on the current actuarial tables, which they can change, those are not guaranteed. The 10-year period is guaranteed. After that, they're just going to look at their business, see how they're doing. Are they able to raise that? If they are, it's more than likely going to go up, but they're not obligated to do it. They're obligated to do it for 10 years. And at the end of that 10th year, say you're 69 now, so you're 79, that $100,000 is guaranteed to give you $18,917 if you waited that long. So that's a really good deal. I can tell you from looking at what people do with their investments, it's a wonderful deal. The vast majority of people, rightly so, they have balanced accounts. And what is a balanced account? That's an account that's got some of the money in short-term bonds, hopefully high quality. Could be government bonds, could be corporate bonds. I like to use an ETF that uses short-term bonds. I like money market and treasury. That's what I use for fixed income. And then I use a fixed annuity as well. And why? Well, because it's fixed, because there's a schedule. It's a lot easier to plan when I know that I have a certain amount of money coming out of that area. Okay, so and between cash, fixed income, which would be bonds and annuities, then there's the equity portion of it. And I don't invest directly in real estate investment trusts, or any of that stuff, because the real estate investment trusts make up a portion of the index funds that I'm holding. So I have them in there, but I don't put them in there directly. They're actually managed by the funds that I own. And I'd recommend that most people would do that, especially when it comes to real estate investment trusts, because that's a lot of work to keep up with what's actually going on inside of one of those real estate investment trusts. I feel like you're much better off using a fund to invest that way, and for most things, quite frankly, because I don't know anybody that has enough time to sit down and track all the investments that they have. I mean, especially if you were doing individual stock portfolios, give me a break. There's no way you could keep up with all the material that you'd have to be reading to run a stock portfolio without increasing your risk. Notice I said no way without increasing your risk. When you manage that money yourself, or you hire somebody to do it for you, you're increasing risk because you're doing it yourself. And even with a broker, there are no brokers available or financial advisors that can babysit an individual stock portfolio anymore. I just don't believe it. And I think you can manage stock portfolios. That's different. You're going to be doing that across multiple accounts. You're going to use this software that allows you to adjust all the securities at the same time. It's still a lot of work. But yeah. Anyway, I'm probably losing everybody here, getting bored to death. So, bottom line, stay safe. Short-term maturities on high-quality fixed income. For most of your fixed income money, that's where you may want to consider doing the annuities, because they are guaranteed, and that's a big deal, especially as you get closer to retirement. And maybe you don't want to see that 50% drop in your portfolio when the next time the S&P crashes. Notice I didn't say if it crashes. I said the next time it crashes. It's just how it works. And if you could predict what it's going to do over the next 2 or 3 years, even 5 or 10 years, and I can show you how to get super rich. So if you know those numbers, let me know. The bottom line is you can't really. You have to make some assumptions, and try to keep my assumptions fairly conservative, and then I try to beat them. But that way, if I can't beat them, I can hopefully come close to them. There's a tremendous amount of volatility involved with the stock market. If you don't know that, then you just haven't been watching. But and you can't control it. You can't see it coming. That kind of stuff is it's a joke. I still see these guys on Facebook, these scammers. I can't tell you back in my day when I was young and coming up, how many books I bought, read. I learned to write code so I could back test various models. And it's more about like 95% of the material from those days was just bunk. And I see a lot of it today. A lot of websites out there. So you just have to be careful. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If it's something that you're a client, you want me to look at, I'll take a look at it. And I can tell you that most of my clients that used to do that, by the time I think the one that did the most probably gave me about 20 of these super once in a lifetime investment opportunities. And I would just highlight the areas. He was giving me the prospectuses, and there were some other types of papers for private investments that they had to file back in those days. And I just would highlight the areas where this is a big no-no. This is where this is probably going to go wrong. And eventually he stopped sending them to me. But I got to tell you, there are tons of those things out there. So you just have to be careful. And even the fixed index annuities, even though they publish there's actually a website where you can see how much money you would qualify for at which ages. If you want a link to that website, just email me. The link is really long, by the way, but it'll take you right to the website. You can put your age in there, and I just throw 100,000 in to keep the math pretty easily, so that you can see what percentage. Like if I put 100,000 in for somebody who was 69, because they're going to be 70 next year, and start to take their Social Security, it's guaranteed to go up to age 70, by the way. It still goes up, but it's not guaranteed to go up past age 70. And so they would see that, oh, yeah, if I put 100,000 in today, next year I'd be able to take out $8,256. That's pretty good. That's really good. And that's guaranteed for as long as I live. If I didn't want to take it that year, the next year it's guaranteed to go to 9,000. And again, when I turn 72, if I still didn't want to take it, when I turn 72, it's going to go to 9,891. So it's very competitive today, especially for the amount of guaranteed income. Guaranteed income is nowhere near that high in other categories, like high quality bonds. You might find some junk bonds out there, and but they're called junk bonds for a reason. And anyway, so I've only got about 40 seconds left here on my show. I hope it didn't overwhelm all of you. But my name is Bill Bullington. If you'd like to get a hold of me, just go to my website, it's bullingtoncapital.com, or Bill at Bullington Capital. You can email me, and the number there, 330-664-0700. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll be back next week at 11. Have a good week, good investing, and good luck.
You just caught another edition of the Bullington Capital Report, broadcasting every Saturday at 11 a.m. on AM 1420, The Answer. If you have a question and you'd like to speak to Bill personally, you can call him at 330-664-0700. That's 330-664-0700. Or online at bullingtoncapital.com. That's bullingtoncapital.com.
The preceding program has been paid for by Bullington Capital Management, LLC.